What's up, you sweaty nerds and greasy degenerates? So, the time has finally come. Dr. Ratio, the free, premium 5-star character, has finally released in Honkai Star Rail. And you know what that means. It's time to take a look at how good this character is doing right now, and where he landed on the tier list. So, let's take a look. Alright, you guys know the drill, so let's see who we can piss off today by simply talking about the most well-respected tier list in the Honkai Star Rail community. So, we're here again at Prydwen.gg, and I gotta thank Prydwen.gg especially today, because I normally only use their site and videos for these tier list videos, but I've been using them more lately because Dr. Ratio's stats have actually been publicly available for a little while now, because he was available as a trial character in part 1 of patch 1.6 through the main story quest. So we've actually had access to his information early, which is really nice to have. So thanks again, Prydwen.gg, for putting your information online and being a beacon of information in the Honkai Star Rail community. You're awesome. I'll stop hog riding now, but come check out their site. I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment and description below. All right, now let's move forward. They did recently change the criteria for this list. They have made some updates, and we will go over that in just a moment. I briefly just wanted to go over Dr. Ratio's placement before we talk about the changes and the other characters, etc. But Dr. Ratio might be an imaginary type character, but this dude has ice running through his veins. Okay, this dude is correct. Okay, this is a stone cold killer. Okay, this dude is the most buff character physically that Hoyoverse have literally ever made. We got like pencil-armed individuals walking around everywhere, and then this dude shows up like he's never skipped a day in the gym. This dude literally does not ever forget to take his protein shake after he gets a good gains on. You know what I'm saying? This dude is yoked, all right? Now let's talk about him a little bit. If this dude was a blast damage type of character like Dan, he'd probably be the best character in the entire game. Okay, this dude's really powerful, and he's a little bit more sort of niche. He has to have like debuffers like Silver Wolf and Pela on his team to like properly be able to work well. Characters like what's her Huo Huo over here actually can even help him with her technique. There's a lot of interesting things that we can do to help buff the power output of Dr. Ratio. He's a little bit more niche than a lot of other DPS characters, but if you put in the effort, he's incredibly strong. I think we need to do a little bit more testing to find out if he's like better than someone like Sela or QQ, but I think that this is a pretty good situation here for Dr. Ratio. I think he's outperforming Sela, in my personal opinion. I think we have the new God of the Hunt, okay? Forget about the Rainbow Arbiter, all right? This is the new God of the Hunt, Dr. Ratio, okay? This guy's been to med school, okay? He knows a thing or two. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the criteria changes first before we continue talking about Ratio and some of these other changes and stuff to the tier list. So the specialist slot has been added. All the debuffers that were in this column here have been moved over to the amplifier slot, because at the end of the day, if you are debuffing enemies, you are amplifying the amount of damage you are able to deal to those enemies. So this all makes a lot of sense. I like these changes, and I like this new specialist column here. This is great because you got characters here like Kafka, who unlock the DOT meta for players. You have characters like Topaz that unlock the follow-up meta for characters. You got breakers like Luca and Shui Yi. You got characters like Welt here who slow enemies. You get the picture, okay? This is a good addition to this tier list. They've also added the Memory of Chaos, right? They've had this for a while, but now they've added Pure Fiction as well. And as you can tell by switching to Pure Fiction, things changed because Pure Fiction is a different mode. And it will change drastically the next time that Pure Fiction changes. Just something to remember here. These tier lists are based off of Pure Fiction, the current Pure Fiction available, and Memory of Chaos. This is based on the current Memory of Chaos that is available. Every other game mode is easy, okay? You don't need a tier list for that, really. You could make one, but you don't really need to, okay? The tier lists are most valuable for Memory of Chaos and Pure Fiction. I like this. This makes sense. I need to point out something that I don't really like, though, about the changes to the tier list. You might notice that when you hover over a character now, that you don't get to see all of their damage output for different scenarios. So, for example, let's see if I can find it. How the character performs in Memory of Chaos Blast and single target damage are important here, while AoE has niche uses against some bosses. So they didn't change this line here. However, they have removed the blast damage numbers and the AoE numbers and the single target numbers, and they've sort of like compiled them all together, probably by getting rid of the AoE numbers and combining the hunt and the blast information together to sort of make a tier list that factors in all of those things to try to make something that's a little bit more like fair to the mode that you're playing. Because AoE does tend to fall off a little bit in Memory of Chaos, because once you get down to the final boss, AoE definitely falls off in damage. So you don't want to have a character like Argeni sitting all the way at the top, when in reality, in Memory of Chaos, most of the time, he's going to be probably around A or maybe S, depending on the situation. So I don't really like that we don't at least get to see the numbers for all three. If you click on the character itself and you go to calculations, you can see the 3 target and the single target damage still that is available. And you can see, obviously, there's a massive difference here. At E0, you get, what, almost 400,000 out of her. Here, you get a little over 700,000. So you still have that available, but it's not shown on the tier list anymore. I liked that feature that we had. I think, you know, I know a lot of people complained about it, but people that knew what they were looking at, I think that was valuable to keep here. So, you know what I mean? Do what you guys got to do, but I liked being able to see that personally. You guys let me know what you feel about this in the comments. I understand this tier list is not perfect all of the time, but it is a very, very good source of information, and it gives us a general idea of how characters are performing in this game. I don't know, though, if I agree with Huo Huo being down here at S tier. Like, yo, what the heck's that about? Like, Huo Huo, what are you doing down here, girl? I thought you were up in the sky, up here in top tier land. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think that Fu Xuan is better than Huo Huo in many cases, but for sweaty tryhards you can zero cycle with this chick. You know what I mean? I know she's not as safe. I understand she's not as safe, but her energy that she can give certain teams is really, really powerful. You know, some characters benefit really, really well off of having extra energy. Why do you think Tingyun's so good? She doesn't just buff, she gives you a ton of energy. So does Huo Huo. She can buff you, she can protect you. Well, she can't protect you. She can heal you, she can buff you. Like, she's good, man. I don't know why she was brought down. I understand Fu Xuan's better in many different scenarios, but Huo Huo, I think, deserves to be up here at S+. I'm not sure if I can agree with this change. Maybe they know more than me, but I think she deserves to be up here. That's just my opinion. Now, I don't know what the heck this is about. What's this Tingyun slander? Why is Tingyun down here at S tier now? What's up with that? Let's be honest with ourselves here. In hypercarry scenarios, the reason why Bronya operates so well in a lot of cases is because of the skill point efficiency of somebody like Ruan Mei or Tingyun, allowing her to spam her skill, which really gives her all of her value. Don't get me wrong. Bronya deserves to be up here at S+ tier. She's incredibly strong, and I'm never going to say anything bad about her, but I don't see why people are like, I don't see why Tingyun deserves to be down here. I just don't get it. I don't understand that. I mean, you got the best character for DPS in the game here, and one of her best characters, in fact, her best support might be Tingyun, because Tingyun can keep her in her buff state. She can maintain the buff state. She can keep her buff. The skill point efficiency allows the entire rest of your team, like Bronya, to spam their skills every single turn if they wanted to. I don't understand, because this is based on the current MOC, and Tingyun's one of the best. What the heck? What is this about? Like, I get it. Ruan Mei is, like, you know, probably better than a lot of other supports right now, especially for the current situation. You put the right planar set on her, for example, Jingli, you will even get a 10% damage bonus. But, like, I don't know. Those are some changes I'm not really down with. Pretty much everything else I see here looks pretty good. Yeah, everything looks pretty good here. I don't know what, I think Gepard might deserve to be up here in A, but I know shield type characters are kind of falling off a little bit, so I get that. Yeah, I think everything else is pretty good here. Even these new slots here. Let's talk about ratio again for just a little bit. Dr. Ratio, I think we need to do more testing to kind of find out like just how powerful he is compared to maybe some of these other characters in the same tier. Just because a character is on the same tier as another character does not mean that they're better or worse than the other necessarily. But I do think that Dr. Ratio is the new god of the hunt. Okay? Forget about the Rainbow Arbiter. Okay? The new god of the hunt is Mr. Dr. Ratio, okay? This guy went to med school. He knows what he's talking about, okay? I think we have finally dethroned the queen of the hunt in Sela, and I think we finally have the new god of the hunt, Dr. Ratio. And I believe, obviously with RNG, QQ could be really, really strong, but, you know, that's totally RNG based. I think that Mr. Ratio is going to be very consistent. He's a little bit more niche. You have to know how to play him properly in order for him to be really optimal. But if you invest the time and effort, he's going to be incredibly strong. And I have a feeling we might see him rise up a little bit. I think because he's single target, that's going to be his downfall. If this dude was blast damage, I may have mentioned this earlier, but if he was blast damage, I think he would be maybe the best character in the entire game. So I just wanted to point out how well he's doing. I wanted to show you guys his placement on the tier list and talk about some of the changes that they've made. So I hope you guys enjoy your free Dr. Ratio. If you like the video, like and subscribe, whatever, you know, do the whole shebang-a-bang, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.